All right. Welcome to the Wedding Reporter podcast. And today I have a very special guest with us. This is Gina Palmeri. And Gina is a relationship anxiety coach in Nashville, Tennessee. And after working through her own relationship anxiety before getting married in 2017, she now coaches men and women to help them confidently navigate this life transition to live their happily ever after. She loves helping her clients restore their self-trust and heal their anxiety from the root instead of just coping with band-aid solutions. Amazing. Gina also has a photography business and runs the tour company Photowalk Nashville, where she loves giving brides and bachelorettes a fun and memorable experience. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to chat with you again. It's been a while, and I feel like we saw each other at an event at some point, but it's always great to see your face, and I'm so happy to have you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you
Um,
so much. Thanks for having me.
yeah, so let's jump right in. I know you have quite the story to tell from when you got engaged, um, right before 2017, and can you just tell us from your own experience how you overcame being anxious during your engagement? Because I know a lot of brides and couples deal with this emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about my story is that I was engaged to my high school sweetheart, and we
Oh,
had been, yeah, we had been together for 8 years, and we even did like the whole long distance thing for college. And we had an amazing relationship. I mean, he was my best friend. We grew up together. There were zero red flags. Everything was great. And I had always been an anxious person, and I've always struggled with more like general anxiety. So, that also came in with big life transitions. So that was like first day of school, going off to college,
mhm.
moving, all those big things. And so when he proposed, after that, my anxiety was at like an all-time high. And
Wow.
I'm talking this went on for like months and months. And it
Oh,
was
wow.
just, it was awful. I just couldn't stop overanalyzing everything about my relationship. I was questioning if I was making the right decision. Is he the one? Am I even old enough to know what love is? All the
Mhm.
things. And I'd even start like nitpicking his appearance just to try to like justify, why I couldn't marry someone with such bushy eyebrows,
Wow.
like all the all those little things. And
Yeah.
at a time when this was supposed to be the happiest time in my life, I was actually really miserable. And
Mm.
this just like went on and on until one night I actually said, like, I can't marry you. And I thought that
Wow.
I thought that that was the only way to stop feeling anxious. But
Oh,
actually, it just like made everything worse. Like, I felt so much worse after that.
yeah.
Um, so this is when I really started to understand that what I was feeling was so much deeper than our relationship and,
Yeah.
anything that had to do with him. And,
Mhm.
I started doing some inner work, and that's when everything
That's
changed for
great.
me.
Wow.
And, I realized, my self trust was pretty much non existent because I never had to make decisions for myself. And I didn't really trust that I
Wow.
even could.
Mhm.
And basically, I was, you know, just trying to look for other people for validation. And
Mhm.
I had very little confidence. I had very low self esteem. And once I started doing the inner work on myself, this is really when everything started to change. And I started
Wow.
being so much more like confident and sure of myself. And not only was I able to overcome my engagement anxiety, I was able to become this version of myself that I didn't even think was possible.
Wow.
And yeah, and so, I was able to start my own business. I was, just
Yeah.
feeling like a whole new person. And so, all of this to say, I'm actually really grateful that I did go through this engagement anxiety because like something had to catapult me into living
Mm-hmm.
this, version of like the life I was meant to be living. And so
Mm-hmm.
fast forward 6 years now, we've been married, and I can honestly say it's been the best 6 years of my life. Like I truly have never been
Oh,
happier. Yeah. And I look back and I'm like, I can't believe like I almost let anxiety steal this joy from
wow.
me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I know it's like we hopped right in and it's like, let's get vulnerable right away. So, yeah, but I know like, and I think you understand this too because of what you're doing. It's like your story can help so many other brides out there who are feeling those feelings of anxiety or like questioning everything. And it's like, that moment when you say yes is such a big step for so many people that it starts bringing up all of these things from your past or emotions that you may not have had before. And so I think that I love how with your story, it's like you didn't give in to that. You did inner work and you overcame it. And I think a lot of times, maybe when people are feeling this, is like they do just give up because of a feeling that they have and they base their love off of that feeling. But knowing that, marriage is a commitment, and if you really are seeing that person for who they are, going through all of that pain and all of that um, all those inner emotions and things, overcoming it can really bring you on the other end of things to really have a happy life and to have a happy marriage and to know that you have 6 years under your belt of a happy marriage. It's like, wow, your story is such a testimony to other people who are going through this. So, um,
Oh, thanks.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I just really
So,
wanted to put it out there because, if I can just help one other person get through this
mhm.
and, get to the other side. When I first blogged about this years ago, I was just blown away by the amount of people that have reached out to me about them struggling
Wow.
with the same thing. And there's really not a lot of resources about it out there. So that's why I
Mhm.
decided to start Engaged and Anxious, just to, help other people get through it too.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think just having that engaged and anxious resource, which is a course of yours, correct? That you've started and have available for brides and couples to purchase, correct?
Yeah, I actually have a couple different resources now, so we can talk about that. But
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've just, been pouring some love into this brand and just want to give everyone
Mhm.
all I've got to help them. So
That's so cool. So let's dive into some questions about maybe if you are a bride who's feeling anxious about everything. Maybe can anxiety start before your engagement or is it usually after an engagement?
yeah, so it can really be either or. I talk to a lot of
Mhm.
people who, like, the moment they get engaged, like literally that day, the anxiety just hits them like a ton of bricks.
Wow.
Um, Others, it could take some time to sink in. And usually, what happens then is like when things start getting real, right? Like when they book the venue
Mhm.
or when they buy the dress, like that's when it starts to hit.
Yeah.
And then I have a whole other group of people that I talk to who they're not actually engaged yet, but they know that it's coming. And so it's already
Oh.
started. Like the anxiety has already started just at like the idea of being engaged.
Mhm.
So there's not really like one size fits all for this type of anxiety. It can be called relationship anxiety. It can be called engagement anxiety. I kind of use those terms interchangeably. Um,
Mhm.
but I rarely see it hit after getting married. It's more so like the
Mhm.
catalyst of the life transition. So the engagement as the
Mhm.
center of it.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's the thing with anxiety too, is like you can't just turn it off and on. It's like it comes when it comes and you have to walk through that. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and it is and we're all different human beings, so it's going to come at different points for all of us. Um
Yep.
so you kind of mentioned like okay, when somebody buys a dress or like when they see the ring, like these different sort of like monumental points of an engagement or the wedding planning process. What are some of those factors in the process that can cause it? Is there anything else that you kind of wanted to expound upon as far as like in the planning process?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we all know wedding planning is very stressful in general. I mean, there's
Hmm.
a whole other type of anxiety that
Yeah.
can come just with, planning this huge event that you have going on. But who I work with is mostly those who are feeling anxious, not just about the wedding itself, but like more so the life transition that comes with it. And
Hmm.
like we said, like getting married, it's a huge life transition, right? And
Yeah.
so it's only natural that it would cause anxiety, especially if you've dealt with anxiety in your past or you're just an anxious person. Like it only makes sense that you would be feeling anxious with this huge life
Mhm.
transition.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so if you're someone who's thinking right now, like, am I making a mistake? How do I know they're the one? Is this the right decision? And all this
Hmm.
doubting, starts to come in and your anxiety just takes off. It can be really debilitating. So, first and foremost, I want to say, like, I feel you. And I know that if you are
Hmm.
experiencing this, it's really, really a struggle. And I know it was really debilitating for me, especially if you have the intrusive thoughts that come with it. And that can
Yeah.
get into like relationship OCD. And I've had that, and that's really rough too. Um, so basically, I try to help you figure out like why this is happening because actually, most of the time, your anxiety doesn't have to do with anything about your relationship or your partner. And
Hmm.
when I say that, like people's minds are
Wow.
blown. But that's the
Yeah.
truth. Yeah, it's the truth because I ask most of the time I ask my clients, "Tell me about your relationship." And they say, "Oh, my relationship is great. Like, my partner is amazing. We've had, great years together. I haven't had any doubts until we got engaged or we talked about getting engaged."
Wow.
And and so I do want to preface this, this doesn't apply if there's any sort of like, emotional, physical abuse or anything like that in your relationship,
Totally.
of course.
Yes.
But 99% of the time when I talk to my clients, they have a great relationship. And the thing is, they think that there's something wrong with their partner.
Wow.
And that most of the time, that's just not the case. And so, what we
Hmm.
like to do is really find like the root cause of what's causing their
Hmm.
anxiety. And this can be anything from a lack of self trust, it can be the fear of growing up, it can be, fear of abandonment, feeling like you're not enough. You could be struggling with perfectionism. I mean, the list goes on, but it really boils down to something that is completely unrelated that is manifesting as relationship anxiety.
Wow.
Yeah. And so when you start to address that root cause, that's when you can start actually healing the anxiety from the root. And so I always say, like, this journey is not actually about healing the relationship with your partner. It's really about healing the relationship with yourself.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That is huge because, yeah, you would think with relationship anxiety or getting engaged that it would have to do with your partner or the other person involved. And it's like, wow, when you really boil it down, it's a lot of internal things that maybe you have dealt with as a child or growing up, or the examples that you had in your life, or things that have happened to you in your past that just start kind of like manifesting into your life. And so that's really interesting point. And I think that can be probably such a like a groundbreaking moment for somebody to realize, wow, all these other factors internally are really going on, and it's really not these outside factors that I originally thought it was.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually a point of hope for people because it's like, okay, wait, I don't actually have to, deal with this person it's me that I have to work on, and it's the things that I've
Yeah.
been carrying and the things that I have to heal and the personal growth that I have to go through in order to be able to be ready to be the version of myself that can have this relationship and life that I want.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty powerful for sure. Um, do anxious feelings during your engagement mean that you should end your engagement or relationship?
So I love this question because a lot of people out there, and it's no fault to anyone, but if you have a friend come to you and they say, I'm doubting my relationship, I think most people respond with, if you have any doubts about your relationship, then you shouldn't be in that relationship and that you should run and that this
Wow.
probably isn't the person for you. And, you got to trust your gut. And that can be really triggering for a lot of people because, if you're asking your
Mhm.
friends and family, you value their opinion. And especially if you have that lack of self trust and you're looking for validation for other people to make a decision for you, that can be, really, really hard.
Wow,
And
yeah.
yeah, and I know a lot of my clients said they've gotten this advice from people, but the truth is they don't want to leave the relationship. They just want to feel better. Like they just want to feel happy and at peace. And
Mhm.
so, I'm not here to say, you should be in a relationship or you shouldn't. My whole thing is I want to equip you to feel confident and feel confident in your decision. And
Mhm.
I'm just here to help you uncover why you're feeling the way you're feeling. And,
Mhm.
most of the time, there isn't a reason to end your relationship, unless there's a,
Mhm.
history of abuse or anything there.
Right.
Um, but the thing is, this can be a cycle. So, say you do break up with your partner and
Mhm.
the next person that comes along, you still could be feeling this way because it's a cycle. And unless you actually heal,
Yeah.
the underlying cause, it can happen with anyone. It's not specific to
Wow.
the person that you're with. And
Yeah.
I do like to say too that the mind your mind likes to protect you. And
Mhm.
it doesn't like change. And so
Mhm.
your mind always is like, it likes to stay in the status quo. It doesn't like anything that's like a threat. And so getting married, this big life transition, your mind is actually perceiving your partner as a threat because it's going to change the status quo. And your partner isn't the threat. It's
Wow.
really just like how your mind's perceiving it to be. And so therefore it's like, okay, let's activate your anxiety and throw all these doubts in to try to make you get away from the threat because it doesn't want you to open your heart to love. Because if you open your heart to love, you're opening yourself to getting hurt, right? And no one can control
Yeah.
that. You never know what's going to happen. But your mind is like, better not. We should probably just stay safe and, not go into this new life chapter. So,
Wow.
um, yeah, it's really wild, kind of like when you get into the you know, how the mind
Mhm.
works of why you're thinking this way. Also, I always like to preface this too by if you are trying to confide in someone, even a therapist, just make sure it's someone who is very well versed in relationship anxiety because this is a
Yeah.
newer newer thing, and a lot of people aren't very familiar with it. And so I would
Mhm.
say, try your best to not confide in a lot of different people because it's just going to make you more anxious to get everyone else's opinion.
Yeah.
I'm your girl now. If like you want to talk to someone, like come to me. Like I know exactly what you're feeling because I've been there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I always try to just remind people of too, is come to someone who really understands what you're going through because otherwise you're just gonna get more
Mhm.
confused.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's like a lot of people's outside voices too, I'm sure, inject their own opinions into
Mm.
your relationship. And, it's like your relationship is really just between the two of you and letting other people kind of like, put their spin on things and you start believing that it could be completely false. And so you're right, having a therapist or someone like you who has been through it to really guide them through this whole process is so important. And with somebody who's not biased to one side or the other, where you can really, like you said, get to the root cause of what's going on. So then the healing can begin really internally. And
Exactly.
then it just
Yep.
flows externally after that.
Yep,
Yeah, this is all
exactly.
so good. And like you said, it can almost be like a defense mechanism where it's like your walls start going up because you are making this next step, making this next commitment where it's like you're supposed to be putting down your walls and you get more vulnerable. And it's like, if you're not used to that already and making this lifetime commitment to somebody, that can be very scary.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's go on the other side of it. How can you overcome anxiety during your engagement and follow through to a happy marriage? Which we did talk about a lot, but what's that next transition?
Yeah, absolutely. And really, it just comes down to doing the work. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just time to do the inner work. And when you think about it, it's actually a really good time to do that right now when you're going through any sort of life transition. That's a great
Mm-hmm.
time to do personal growth or personal development work and, gain some personal growth, so that you can become the best version of yourself in general.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would say first you're going to want to get to the root of it. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to then want to become aware of it and really start understanding, like, why you're operating the way you're operating. And then you're going
Mm-hmm.
to start your healing journey. And so that's where I come in if you don't know where to start, because I'm sure some people are like, I feel this way, but like,
Mm-hmm.
where do I even start with, doing inner work?
Right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of where I come in. So I designed a bunch of resources that all use the same process I used to help me when I was going through this, that I customized for
Awesome.
you and even included like way more now because I've, just learned so much through the years as well, helping other people. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's really designed to help you start healing and also just starting to rebuild your confidence and so that you can feel good in this season of your life. That's all I really want for you is just to start enjoying this season. Because I know everyone's always like, and you see it on Instagram, everyone's just,
Mm-hmm.
in that glow of, engagement bliss. And for a lot of people, that's just not the case. And that's where my
Mm-hmm.
heart goes out to those people who I just want to help them start actually enjoying this time. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I did was I actually wrote a guidebook
Wow.
specifically, yeah, for anyone that's going through any sort of relationship anxiety. And so in this guidebook, there are first of all, it helps you understand what's going on and helps you uncover the root cause of your anxiety, which is going to be a game
Wow.
changer for you.
That's
And
huge.
then, yeah, definitely. Once you have that, like, game changer, you can really start rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also has tons of exercises and resources. I'm gonna start.
I like
That's gonna be a new
exercises.
word. Yeah, I like
I
exercises.
know.
I'm gonna use that. That's a
I
good new
know.
word.
That's good. I like that.
With lots of exercises and resources that are, can help you get through this. And
Mhm.
so that is two options. You can instantly download it and type it out on your computer, or you can buy it on Amazon, and you can buy it right on
Oh,
there.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
And then
amazing.
thanks. And then I also have a self-guided program and an opportunity to work with me one-on-one if you kind of want that more personalized coaching as well, that I can definitely help you with. And that seems to be the case for like the guidebook's a really good place to start. And then if
Mhm.
you need some extra support, doing that one-on-one with me definitely has been a game changer. I've had multiple people say that, just one session with me was more helpful than like multiple months of therapy. So
Wow. That's
it's really just
incredible.
about, yeah, I just like to really just like go right in for, getting down to the nitty gritty of it to start helping you. And I think just because ha- definitely have been, in your shoes that, I can definitely just get right into it to help you. start
Mhm.
healing. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
That's amazing. And wow, what a great resource. All the great resources that you've provided, and also just your time to do the one-on-one sessions. I think that is going to help so many people, and it already has from, clients that you've spoken to and everything. And it's like a big reason that I wanted to interview you about this was because I'm in a lot of wedding Facebook groups right now, and this question comes up so often is like, I am so anxious about XYZ in my relationship or with external factors, blah, blah, blah. Like, what do I do? And it's like, Gina knows. Like, she has an amazing resource. And it's like, you can get through this, you can overcome it. And you know, through the struggle, you can persevere. And so that's such a great message that you were just bringing to this wedding community. And I'm so thrilled to just have you on this podcast. And was there anything else that you wanted to share about your resources? And we'll definitely link everything in the show notes of like where we can get all of this. But do you have an Instagram where people can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate those kind words too.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, all of my resources can be found at engagedandanxious.com. And you can, like I said, instantly download that guidebook if you want to. There's a link to the Amazon link. And yeah, for definitely coming into the new year, I think this is just a really good time if you wanted to do a one-on-one session just to start off the new year and get excited about, the future that I would love to
Mhm.
help you with. I also have an Instagram. It's engaged and anxious, and actually have a reel going viral right now that I would love for y'all to check out. So
Amazing. That's so
it just
great.
proves, yeah, it just proves, like you said, like this problem, not a lot of people really like to talk about it because it is,
Mhm,
one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm engaged. I shouldn't be saying I have doubts about my relationship. And it can be kind of embarrassing. And so,
mhm.
when people find me or they go in these Facebook groups, it is a very vulnerable state to be in. And so I just want to let you know if you are, anyone who's struggling with this right now, that you are definitely not alone. And this is a very normal feeling to be feeling right now. It doesn't mean that, your relationship is doomed. It's definitely something that you can work through and that you can get to the other side because I'm living proof of that. So, if anything, I'm here
Mhm.
on the other side and I'm so grateful that I was able to work through it and let myself have the happiness that, I always wanted. So, if
Yeah.
just resonate with that at all, just I want to let you know that I am here for you.
Oh, that's awesome, Gina. Like, thank you so much for just sharing your story, opening up to us, and sharing all about being engaged and anxious. This is such a huge help. So, thank you
Oh,
so
of
much.
course, Alyssa. It was so good to chat with you. Thank you
Yeah,
for
it was
having me.
so great. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wedding Reporter podcast. I hope you learned a little bit and had fun today. To find more resources and podcast episodes, visit NashvilleBrideGuide.com for more information. And as always, click the subscribe button and leave us a review. Until next time, I'm Alyssa DeChico, signing off.